The Poor Wretch. Once there was a peasant named Nasterka who had 6 children, but no land. He had nothing with which to support himself and his family, and he was afraid to steal. One day he harnessed his cart, took his children, and went out into the world. On the road he looked back and saw, lying in the dirt, a little old man who had no feet. This little old man begged him, "Please, take me with you." "How can I, little father?" said Nasterka. "I have 6 children, and my horse is a wretched nag." Again the footless man said, "Please take me." Nasterka took the poor wretch, seated him in the cart, and drove on. The poor wretch said to him, "Let us cast lots to see which of us is to be the elder brother." They cast lots, and it fell to the poor wretch to be the elder brother. They came to a village. The poor wretch said, "Now go and ask if we can spend the night in that house." Nasterka began to beg for shelter. An old woman came out of the house and answered him, "We have no place for you. Even without you we are crowded." Nasterka returned to the cripple and said, They will not let us in here." But the cripple sent him back again, telling him to insist. Nasterka went and obtained permission to spend the night. He drove into the yard, carried his children into the house, and carried the cripple in also. The mistress of the house ordered him to put the children under the bench and the footless man on the shelf above the stove. He did as the woman bade him. "Where is your husband?" the cripple asked the hostess. "He has gone out stealing and has taken my 2 sons with him," she replied. After a while the husband returned. He brought 12 carts laden with silver into the yard, put the horses in the stable, and came into the house. He saw the poor people and began to shout at his wife. "What kind of people have you let in? They are beggars who have no place to spend the night," she replied. "It was quite unnecessary to let them in here. They could have spent the night in the street." Then the husband, the wife, and their 2 sons sat down to supper, but did not invite the poor people to share. The cripple drew half a holy wafer from his bag, ate of it himself, and gave a bit to Nasterka and his children. All ate their fill. The host was amazed. "How can this be?" he said. "The 4 of us have eaten a whole loaf of bread, and we are still hungry, and the 8 of you have been sated with half a wafer." When their host fell asleep, the cripple sent Nasterka out into the yard to see what was going on there. Nasterka went out and found that all the horses were eating oats. The cripple sent him out again, saying, "Go and have another look." He went out and saw that all the horses had their yokes on. The cripple sent Nasterka out for a 3rd time. And when he went, he saw that all the horses were harnessed. He returned to the house and said, all the horses are harnessed." "Well," said the cripple, "now carry out your children and myself, and we'll leave." They sat on their cart and left the yard, and the robbers' 12 horses followed them with the carts. They drove and drove. Then the cripple ordered Nasterka to return to the house where they had spent the night and bring him his mittens. "I forgot them on the shelf," he explained. Nasterka went back, but there was no house. It was as though the building had dropped down through the earth. Only the mittens remained by the chimney. He took the mittens, returned to the cripple, and told him that the house had fallen through the ground. That's the Lord's punishment for stealing. Take these 12 carts for yourself with everything in them, said the cripple, and vanished from sight. Nesterka returned home, found the carts laden with silver, and began to prosper. His wife said to him, "Why do you keep your horses idle? Take them to serve as carriers." He made ready and went to town. On the way he met a maiden who he had never seen before. "These horses are not yours," she said. "That's true," said Nesterka. "Since you have recognized them, take them, and God be with you." The maiden took the 12 horses, and the peasant returned home. The next day the same maiden came to his window and said, "Here, take your horses. I was only joking, yet you gave them to me." Nesterka took the horses, and lo and behold, the carts were laden with even more silver and gold than before.